Have you ever stopped yourself from trying something, not because you didn't want it, but because you were afraid of losing? Maybe it was a job you didn't apply for, a relationship you didn't pursue, a dream you quietly placed on a shelf because the thought of failing felt heavier than the possibility of succeeding. It's strange, isn't it? How the fear of losing can feel stronger than the excitement of winning. How one "what if it goes wrong" can silence 10 "what if it goes right." Today we're diving into the psychology behind that fear, why it holds us back, how it shapes our decisions, and most importantly, how to stop letting it control your life. Let's start with a simple but powerful question. What would you do if you weren't afraid of losing? Not what you should do, not what others expect you to do, but what you would choose if fear wasn't whispering in your ear. Hold that thought, because everything we're about to explore connects back to that one question. The fear of losing isn't weakness, it's human. Before we talk about overcoming the fear of losing, we need to understand why it exists in the first place. Humans are wired to avoid loss. Psychologists call it loss aversion. The idea that losing something feels twice as painful as gaining something feels good. That's why losing 10 pounds feels worse than finding 10 pounds feels good. It's why rejection stings more than acceptance excites us. It's why failure echoes longer in our minds than success. So if you've ever felt embarrassed, anxious, or frozen at the thought of losing, you're not broken, you're human. But here's the twist. Just because fear is natural doesn't mean it has to be in charge. Ask yourself, is my fear protecting me or limiting me? 2. Fear of losing shows up in disguises. Sometimes fear is obvious. You feel nervous, hesitant, unsure, but often it hides behind excuses that sound reasonable. I'm not ready yet. What if it's not the right time? I'll try when I'm more confident. I don't want to embarrass myself. These thoughts feel protective, but they're often fear wearing a mask. Think about a time you backed out of something you wanted. Was the reason truly practical, or was it fear dressed up as logic? Fear of losing can show up in many areas. Career, not applying for a job because you might not get it. Relationships, not expressing your feelings because you might be rejected. Dreams, not starting a project because you might fail. Opportunities, not taking risks because you might regret them. The fear of losing doesn't just stop you from failing, it stops you from trying. Ask yourself, where in my life am I holding back because I'm afraid of losing? One of the biggest reasons fear of losing holds us back is because the mind loves certainty. It loves predictability. It loves staying in familiar territory, even if that territory is limiting. Trying something new means stepping into the unknown, and the unknown triggers fear. But here's the truth. Every meaningful change in your life will require stepping into uncertainty. Think about the biggest growth moments you've ever had. Chances are they didn't come from comfort. They came from courage. Ask yourself, am I choosing comfort over growth? This is where everything shifts. Most people think winning and losing are opposites. But in reality, losing is part of the path to winning. Every athlete loses before they win. Every entrepreneur fails before they succeed. Every artist creates bad work before they create great work. Every confident person has moments of doubt before they find their voice. Losing isn't a sign that you're not good enough. It's a sign that you're trying. Imagine a child learning to walk. They fall dozens of times, but no one says, walking isn't for you. We celebrate the effort, not the outcome. Somewhere along the way, adults forget that. Ask yourself, what if losing is just a step, not a verdict? One of the most powerful ways to overcome fear is to shift your focus. You can't control outcomes. You can't control other people's reactions. You can't control every twist and turn. But you can control your effort, your preparation, your attitude, your consistency, your willingness to try again. When you focus on what you can control, fear loses its grip. Think about a time you were proud of yourself, not because you won, but because you showed up. That's the energy that moves you forward. Ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? Fear of losing is rooted in the belief that losing is the end. But what if losing is actually information? What if it's feedback? What if it's a lesson you couldn't learn any other way? Imagine you try something and it doesn't work out. You still gain experience, clarity, strength, insight, resilience. Losing doesn't take away your value. It adds to your wisdom. Ask yourself, what might I learn if I try? The goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to build a mindset strong enough to move forward with fear. Here's how. Normalize mistakes. Everyone makes them. Detach your worth from outcomes. You are more than your wins and losses. Celebrate effort. Trying is an achievement. Take small risks regularly. Confidence grows through repetition. Reflect instead of judge. Ask what the experience taught you. When you build emotional resilience, losing becomes less scary. Ask yourself, how can I support myself better when things don't go as planned? Let's return to the question from the beginning. What would you do if you weren't afraid of losing? Picture it clearly. The version of you who tries, the version of you who takes chances, the version of you who believes that losing isn't the end, it's part of the journey. That version of you already exists. You just have to give them permission to lead. Because the truth is simple. The fear of losing will always be there, but it doesn't have to hold you back. You can move forward anyway. You can take the chance anyway. You can grow anyway. And who knows, you might discover that the life you want is waiting on the other side of a risk you were once afraid to take. Love videos like this? Hit like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And stay curious with us. Conceptique, where complex ideas become beautifully simple.